Today, you're going to hear about Palantir, and this stock has been trending a lot on YouTube. If you search around, you realize that it's been hyped up by quite a bit. Thumbnails such as these: Palantir with 25x in value. Buy Palantir before it breaks out. Do you recognize Palantir's growth potential? And last but not least, Palantir stock, the next great step for innovation. Now, there's a lot of potential for Palantir. I think that's quite universally recognized already. This software seems to be pretty revolutionary. It's for big data, so it's a space where I don't know too much information. I guess a lot of the YouTubers and content creators out there also probably don't know that much. But I'll try to keep it as to what I understand. I'll give you what I've found out, because hopefully it can help you spur your critical thinking as to whether this stock is good for your portfolio or not. Now, let me start this video by giving you firstly an overview of Palantir's business, just in case you haven't examined too much about it. I'll show you some of these contracts it has won. But the following part is something very interesting. Two key critical points of thinking that I'd like to share with you. Last but not least, I'll compare its valuations against some of its peers. With that, let's roll in the intro video. Hi guys, welcome back. Now, Palantir's business is actually quite difficult to understand. They have a few business segments. The first is actually Gotham. Gotham started because they were helping government agencies, and later I'll show you a few case studies. Then they created Foundry, which is mainly serving businesses, but I actually can't explain, as a layman to you what's the difference between the two, so I'll leave that to some other expert. I'll share with you what I know, and I'll try to avoid pretending that I understand the industry well. And last but not least, they also have Apollo. So I've actually collected a few slides to quickly help you understand what does Palantir actually deliver to the marketplace. Firstly, some of its government projects. What do you see over here? Gotham 21 launch. This is actually an AI-enabled military, analytical tool. Not only that, they've actually helped US Air Force, they've also helped US Army, and last but not least, they've integrated a lot of all this for its warfare and coordinating, even possibly Osama bin Laden's capture. So that rumor, they've not confirmed things, so let's leave it for another time. They've also delivered, government support like FDA. They've also helped for COVID-19 using some of the analytical tools that they have. So their software is pretty interesting. I'm not an expert, so if you are, do leave in the comment sections what they can actually deliver. But later I'll show you some competitor analysis. So beyond government, the next frontier of things is obviously corporates, correct? So one example is actually BP. BP actually used their software to actually generate more than $1 billion more in value for 2020, simply by deploying their assets better to optimize things better. And not only BP, it's been known that Rio Tinto, for example, has used Palantir's software and data to actually improve on their own cost and production. So this help is actually far-reaching. So how about this? Airbus, which actually manufactures aircraft, is tapping on Palantir's software and data mining to actually save its operations hundreds of millions of dollars in the coming years ahead. So if Airbus is doing that, you should expect Boeing to eventually adopt that software too. So the whole frontier of big data is huge, which means there is a lot of growth potential. That is why, when people see numbers like this, 2021's sales figures have jumped by 248% first quarter in comparison. So once these kind of numbers start coming out the market, there's a lot of expectation to things. But also, Palantir's big data business is very new. Big data, like what Jack Ma has mentioned before, is the next frontier after internet, because internet we collect all the data. But big data is the next frontier of things. So things could take very long to evolve, but of course the potential is undisputed. And with that, let me run on to two key critical thinking points, because I ran through a lot of YouTube videos and a lot of articles just to see what are some of the negatives. If everything is so good, why isn't everybody buying? If it's so invincible, certainly there is something that is missing, correct? At least that's my gut feeling. So before we get there, smash the like button so that more people can see valuable content like this. And again, inviting you to press on subscribe, because every week we'll be launching videos to help you in your financial journey. Palantir started off with US government, correct? It helped the US military, something we've covered already. My first question is, would other governments be okay to use it or not? Be okay to partner with it, give it contracts or not? And to answer that question, I'll actually pull up a few examples whereby government agencies have actually awarded contracts to them. One of which is actually this. Palantir has actually signed a 2-year, 31 million contract with NHS England for vaccine programs. Okay, so maybe UK is actually, for their healthcare segment, been okay with using some of this data for this pandemic. So there's a real need. What about for Israel? Israel is a country that's used Palantir software. They have actually strong ties. And if we can actually pull up some information over here, 2013, Palantir has actually set up a center in Israel itself. But when I searched around the internet, I realized that it's been not mentioned frequently enough. Government agencies hold a lot of sensitive data, correct? So imagine this, if Singapore's defense, would we be comfortable using Palantir software for analytics? I'm not too sure about that. I know Singapore government, we use D-Star quite a lot for helicopters, for everything. But beyond that, sensitive information, I'm not too sure if we are willing to give to a third party that has strong roots to US government. And what about for Chinese governments? I'm sure they are never going to use Palantir software in any way. And the next part is something I'd like to bring up, which I've managed to find. There's a different point from the Washington Post. It's mentioned that Palantir is almost at the mercy of a small number of government contracts. If and when they come up for renewal, the investment committee will get spooked about how negotiations go. Maybe he knows a thing or two about how government contracts are awarded. Beyond that, I've actually seen very little negative stuff about government contracts. But my main concern is government contracts seem to be kept at a space because it's really sensitive information. If government contracts have limited room for growth, the obvious room to grow is in corporates, correct? Corporate sector, whereby businesses like Airbus needs to save hundreds and millions of dollars in its production line, and naturally spending 100 million for this software is worthwhile an investment. So let's look at some data, some reports about its corporate business. I'll pull up those that are negative because those that are positive, they are very easy to find on the internet. So I've actually taken a lot of time to find different point of views to present to you. Something over here is very interesting. It's mentioned that over the last 13 months, at least 3 top-tier corporate clients have walked away, and that include Coca-Cola, American Express, and Nasdaq. And Palantir's clients have actually balked at its high asking price of 1 million per month, and they actually doubt whether the software can deliver that much insights or not. And what about for this? Palantir was actually done by a key cybersecurity customer. Now, what we commonly hear in the forums and communities is that Palantir software is unrivaled. They have a cutting-edge technology. No one else is direct competitor. I've seen all these comments before, and my thinking is they have engineers, correct? It's very common. Even if the software right now is of a superior standard, it's very easy to poach away engineers from there and build something in the coming year or two. So things can actually level up. Even a competitive advantage such as technology will still be eroded over time. So that's something I'm concerned about, but it's points that I would like to raise because I think it's not mentioned frequently enough. So let me also help you understand who are competitors. I managed to find a 2019 pie chart that shows the industry. This is the best I could find. So if you appreciate it, smash the like button. It's taken our team hours to dig through resources to find different point of views, because if not, we'll be doing all group thing. Palantir is the best. But then we're not really very sure deep down, have we thought through all the various points? So this is a 2019 pie chart. It may be slightly outdated, of course. And what we see over there, you see some names that you and I, we may be familiar with. Salesforce, Microsoft, Oracle. So these are some big names that are in this analytical space, this big data space. Palantir Technologies is at that small space over there. Has it grown its pie? I hope so. And if I do see a new pie chart coming out, I'll be sharing with you in a future video. I've also a different summary that I found between Palantir as well as some of its competitors, and they include Tyler Technologies, Vereen, Tableau Software, Splunk, and Mu Sigma. Now, Tableau Software has actually been delisted already. It's been acquired by Salesforce, and later I'll use some of its numbers to help you understand things a bit better. Now, in this segment, let's try to touch on valuation as to whether Palantir is a worthy investment or not. As Palantir is still not profitable yet, the only matrix we can really look at is probably price to sales that can compare them across its other peers in its industry. So as of now, Palantir's trading price is around $24 as of this time of filming. Price to sales is about 37.5 times. So who are its competitors? Just now we ran through Salesforce. You realize that Salesforce is really profitable. Its price to sale is only at 9.7 times. What about for Microsoft? It's of course profitable. Price to sales is only 11 times, but Microsoft is very diversified, so it's really not a close competitor. I think Salesforce is slightly better as a reference point. What about for Snowflake? Snowflake is a company that listed recently also. it's looking even more expensive than Palantir. Its price to sales is 101 times. So Palantir's 37.5 times may be cheap in comparison to Snowflake, but again, that depends on what you're focusing on. So let's go back to Salesforce. You know, I mentioned Tableau, this company, it was actually acquired by Salesforce in 2019. And I've actually dug up some information about that acquisition. Salesforce actually paid $15.7 billion for Tableau. And when Tableau was trading before the acquisition, it was only trading at $10.79 billion. So Salesforce really paid 50% premium just to acquire Tableau's revenues at that point of time. In 2019, Tableau's revenues have grown to about $1.3 billion. And a lot of which is actually recurring because, you know, big data things, they are multi-year contracts, similar to what Palantir is constructing with its clients also. And Tableau actually has a very diversified client base. It serves big enterprises to small enterprises. They had about 86,000 business clients. So if you compare things between Tableau in 2019 and, you know, Palantir right now, the revenue is about the same size already. But Palantir is trading right now at 40 plus billion in terms of its market cap. But Tableau was only bought at $15.7 billion. So points to consider. So let me know your thoughts about Palantir, whether you think it's a buy or a sell, whether you think it's overhyped up or not. In my private channel, I'll actually be sharing you my personal take. I don't have an expert opinion, so I'll be using my best guess, using a valuation versus momentum matrix that I've actually created to really try to figure out when is a good time that I'll be interested more in Palantir. So with that, look for links below on how to join that private community. And with that, I'll sign off from here. Take care and goodbye.